Yo, what's good boys? In this video I'll be showing you the best competitive Fortnite settings in chapter 3, especially with dual FNCS coming up in less than a week now. If you want the best competitive advantage and performance possible with your PC, make sure to watch this all the way through so that you're not missing out on anything. Alright, now let's get straight into the topic. Alright guys, let's go straight into the settings. As always, you should always be on full screen because it is the best one that gives you the less amount of input delay and the most FPS. If you know someone that plays windowed like this, please tell them to switch to full screen because this is not okay. And for the resolution, I always play it on native because I find it most appealing, but there are also preset resolutions here that you can use that are already built into the Fortnite game, or you can use a custom res like 1280 by 1080 or 1720 by 1080, which Peterbot uses, or you can use 1440 by 1050, which is the Martos res. And having these on makes it so that there are less pixels that need to load up on your screen, which can boost or stabilize your frames. And as for frames, you always want to cap it one above your monitor hertz. So if you have a monitor that's 144 hertz, cap your frames at 160, and if you have a 165 hertz monitor, cap it at 180. Now if you run a 240 hertz monitor, you should still cap it at 240 because the next option is 360 and the jump to that is too much, so just keep it at 240. Another great thing that you can try that'll make your frames feel way better, from the home screen, click on Windows and type in %temp and then %. Click on the first option that comes up right here, click on that, then from here click on the local one, then from here find a Fortnite game. So scroll up until you find Fortnite game, click on that, double click on save, click on config, and again click on Windows client. Then from here right click on game user settings, click on properties and uncheck read only, apply that, click OK, and then open this. Now from here click Control F and type up frame rate limit and click enter to not this one, so click enter again and it should bring you to the one that's right here. Make sure it's the one that just says frame rate limit and it's not the one that says front end frame rate limit, because you'll be changing something else that you shouldn't be changing. Okay, now you can close this out. Like I mentioned before, capping at 3 frames below the max frames of your monitor is what you should do. So if your monitor is a 144 hertz, change this to 141. If your monitor is a 240 hertz, change this to 237. Same for if your monitor is a 360 hertz, cap it at 357. Now since I have a 240 hertz monitor, I'm gonna change this from 240 to 237, and then right click on game user settings, go to properties and click on read only, then click apply. Okay, then after this you can close this out. And now let's go on to the graphics settings. So for the brightness, you want this on 130%, no user interface contrast, colorblind mode on Triton note, and colorblind straight on 8. Now let me explain why. See, if you take colorblind off and you put the brightness back to 100%, just look how much darker the map looks, how much more dull the map looks compared to when you turn all of these back on. So you put this back to 130 brightness, Triton up and on 8, just look how much better the map looks. You can see things way better, you can see enemies way better. So this is what I would recommend for the best competitive graphic settings. Something else that you may want to consider doing is lowering your 3D res to about 90. There are a lot of pros, like I know Colozo for example, that play with 90% 3D resolution, and doing this, it does increase your frames and also lowers your input delay, so you can have it on 90%. But as for me, since I'm a content creator, I like keeping this on 100% to get the best quality possible. But for a competitive setting, having your 3D res on 90% is the best way to do it. Before I talk about the view distance, let's talk about the meshes. So for meshes, I would honestly recommend keeping it on low, but it has been said that this season that low meshes have been feeling kind of choppy for some reason, and a lot of people have been staying on high meshes. But here's a trick: if you're on low meshes, you never want to have your view distance on anything lower than epic. Let me explain why. If you have it on far, just look how terrible your trees look right after this. You see this? If you ever get this problem here and you're on low meshes, and this only happens when you're on low meshes, so if you ever get this problem here, and if you ever want to know how to avoid these trees here, basically just go to your settings and turn your view distance back to epic, and that should fix it right away. So I would recommend having your textures on low. Even though high meshes may feel better this chapter, I would still recommend everyone to stay on low mesh. VSync you can have off, and show FPS you can have on, and then again rendering mode is always on performance. You can try DX12, you can try DX11, but I still believe that you will be at a disadvantage compared to everyone else who is running performance mode. So if you're on PC, stay on performance mode. Alright, now let's go over the game settings. Toggle sprint you want off. Sprint by default you want this on at all times so that you can sprint every time you go forward with your movement key, whatever it may be. Sprint cancels reloading off. Auto open doors on, and let me explain why you need auto open doors. Having auto open doors on makes it so that it will always let you through no matter what. So say you're in a build fight, but instead of editing this like you wanted to, you edit this, it'll let you through very easily. So having this on is very useful in some cases, so having it off is basically a disadvantage, so I highly recommend I have this on. And hold to swap pickup, you want this on because say it's early game or even mid game and you want to switch or swap a weapon. Hold to swap weapon comes in handy a lot when there's not that many items in your inventory and you want to switch something out real quick. You just hold on whatever's on the floor and then switches with it right away to quickly get what you need and take out what you don't need. Okay, now let's move on to the next one. Toggle targeting off, mark danger when targeting on, auto pick up weapons. Auto pick up weapons, have this off because it's less useful than it is useful, so just turn this off. Preferred item slots, this is something that you need to set up right away if you don't have already. With preferred item slots, you definitely want to have this on because it puts your weapons, no matter in what order you pick them up, in its designated spots. Let me show you an example. So I have this on the floor, that on the floor, that on the floor. So no matter what order I pick these in, it'll put them exactly where I would want them to be. You see? So I always have my shotgun here and my AR right there because it's what I chose for them to be in. Auto sort consumables to the right, you want to have this on definitely. Reset building choice, always you always want to have this on. I guess this is really a controller player type of bind, so you would always want to have this on. Disable pre-edit option, it's a good thing and a bad thing. So for example, pre-edits, it can be very useful and competitive, but this comes in handy in team game modes a lot. For example, if you're attacking someone's wall like this and you want to pre-edit something into this, and then you take their wall right away, this is how it can be useful in competitive game mode. So it's kind of up to you to whether you want it off or on, but me personally, I have it on so it doesn't mess me up when I'm going for edits or builds. Turbo building, of course you want this on. Confirm edit on release, that's another topic. So there's a good and bad to confirm edit on release. Now with confirm edit on release, this is the best example that's used by a lot of people when they're trying to explain whether it's good or bad. Again, this is all up to you, all optional to the player themselves. So when going for edits such as this, when going for a window edit, you would have to look completely this way to not be seen out of the view, or when you're going for a peanut butter, you would have to look up and go up against the wall like this to not be seen. And that's with confirm edit on release on, and this is with it on. With everything you do, with everything you go for, it confirms as soon as you let go. So that's confirm edit on release. Now when you turn this off, even though I play with edit on release on, I still believe that confirm your edits is the fastest. There are a lot of insane pros that play with edit on release off, like Day and Noah Riley, and other pros that play with it on, like Scope and Booga. When you confirm your edits, you can select the edit and still be able to look around and do whatever it is you want and confirm it all the way from here, instead of having to confirm it like this as if you were playing with edit on release on. So this is another thing. So you can make this window edit here, move all the way to the side, and still have your crosshair on these things here without selecting it. Tap to search, you definitely want this on. In video highlights, turn this off. If you're looking to improve in competitive, having replays on is something that I would highly recommend, so you can go back and VOD review your games. Some people say to have it off to help with delay, but honestly keep it on because you would want to review your games and see what you did wrong to improve in the next one. For the HUD, I would recommend keeping it at 75% because you don't want it too big to the point where it's taking up some of your screen that could be blocking potentially people or other loot on the ground that you may be missing. So keeping it at 100%, I would not recommend. Don't do this, but instead keep it at about 70%, 75% I would say, to where you can still see your stuff and it's not blocking too much of your screen. Reticle, of course, you want on. Now show spectator count. The reason why I have this on, because it's all a mindset. When there's people, when you know there's someone watching you, most people tend to play worse when they know that they're being watched. Fortnite is a mind game and everything, so having that feeling of people watching you makes other people just turn this off because you'll end up doing better without it. Player health, of course, you want on. Resources on. Minimap on. Quick bar on. Target info, of course, you want that on. Pickup blue stream on. Network debug stats, you want this on as well. Latency debug stats, you can't really see this unless you're on. You can't see this at all unless you're on DX11 or DX12. And now onto the sound settings. So for sound quality, you always want it on low because when you use high quality, it says it right here. High quality, it does sound better, but it does decrease your performance, so just keep it on low. 3D headphones off. So with 3D headphones, when you have this on, it makes it so that things around you are more precise. So for comp, I would definitely recommend having this on, but me, I just like having it off. But again, the sound will sound different, and if you never used 3D headphones before, it'll take a while. I would say at least a week to get used to, but once you get used to it, it's such such a good advantage to have this on, but I like to keep it off. And now for subtitles, this is what you want to put for subtitles. Just turn them off. Put these to extra small, white, none, and clear. And visual sound effects. At this point, if you're not using visual sound effects, you're at a disadvantage. Honestly, visual sound effects gives you so much info. It tells you when people are healing up. It tells you when people are walking and you probably can't even hear. It tells you when people are gliding and using webs, when there's trees falling. So if you're not using visual sound effects, you're putting yourself at a huge disadvantage. So I would definitely recommend you turn this on. Okay, right now at the end, if you watch this all the way through, much love to you. If you enjoyed this video, you'll for sure enjoy the video that's recommended at the top right of the screen. This video was a little bit longer than usual, so if you made it all the way to the end, please comment down best comp settings in the comments